Welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be diving into a tool that will instantly make using the terminal faster. This tool is called FZF, which is a command line fuzzy finder, and by the end of this video you're going to be wondering why you didn't know about it sooner. So what is a fuzzy finder? Well, it lets you put in a few letters or numbers or whatever, and it figures out what you probably meant based off of those characters that you put into the prompt. But it's not just for files though. You can hook FZF into practically anything. Git, your running processes, system services, your clipboard history, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to start out with the basics installing FZF. We're going to go through some basic commands and then we'll get into some more fancy stuff. And while you're watching this video, if you think about some things you could use FZF for, or if you already use FZF for some things, leave a comment down below with how you use it because I would love to hear about it. I'm sure there's so many things that I haven't even thought of. So let's go ahead and jump into how you install FZF. I'm going to put a link in the description down below to the GitHub page. You're going to go to that GitHub page, and depending on whether you have Mac, Linux, or Windows, there are options listed there that explain how to install FZF. It's not very difficult to install, but once you get it installed, you want to make sure, especially if you're on Mac or Linux, and I guess if you're using WSL on Windows, the same thing would be true. You want to look at the shell integration. So if you scroll down a little past where the install instructions were, you'll come across some instructions for setting up shell integration. This is going to give you some extra superpowers. You're going to have some key bindings that you can use and some little shortcuts that'll just make using FZF a little more fun and a little easier. For me, I run ZSH, so I use my ZSHRC file, go in there, edit it, add in what they instruct there, which is like a source command that I'm adding in there. Once you've done that, depending on your shell and your setup, you may just be able to close and reopen the terminal. Like with ZSH, I can just run ZSH and that refreshes it. You may need to log out, log back in, whatever. But to confirm that you have everything set up correctly, what you're going to do is you're going to run FZF and -- version. That's going to make sure we have it installed. The other thing we want to do is hit Control T. And if we hit Control T and you see a list of files, obviously your list of files is going to be different than mine, but as if you're seeing a list of files that are in that directory and it looks similar to this, then you have the shell integration set up. If you don't see this, make sure that you set up that shell integration properly. You could follow the majority of this video without doing this, but to be able to do everything that I'm going to show you, you want this shell integration to work. So make sure you get that working, pause the video here, and then come back. So if you do have this working, to get out of this, we're going to hit escape, and that'll take us back to our terminal. Now we can start going through the basics of FZF. So first, let's just look at FZF by itself. We'll just run FZF. And what we have here is a list of everything in our home directory, basically. It just fuzzy finds everything, which means that it's picking up a very long list of items here. And if you were in your home directory, you would have literally everything that's in your home directory, but I'm not in my home directory, so this list is a little smaller. But from here, you can fuzzy find things that are located in this tree. So if I wanted to find, say, the main.rs file, I could start typing main, and it's going to pick the closest match and show it here at the bottom, but you can see that it kind of matches other things. In these other files, you can see it matches a M and then an AI, but they're not together. So in order to get a better match, we can go ahead and add an apostrophe before that. And that's going to be for an exact match. So you can see now the only thing that we're matching is main.rs. We can also look at things that start with main. And why did it not find main.rs even though it starts with M? Well, because from here where we are right now, it's embedded in a subdirectory. So we would have to start with src. Now we get the main.rs. What if we want to search for files that end in rs, for example? Well, what we could do is just type .rs we would get it that way. We can also put a $sign at the end of that, and that's going to show us only files that end in .rs, not files that just have .rs in them. And what if we wanted to exclude something? So maybe you want to exclude anything that has .rs in it. Now you can see the .rs file has disappeared. Maybe you want to get rid of anything that has cargo in it. That gets rid of that by putting that exclamation point there. So that's kind of some basic usage of FZF, but this isn't really the good stuff yet. This is just some very simple things. So we'll hit escape to get out of this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use FZF to choose a file that we want to open in nvim. So we'll type nvim, and if you don't have the shell integration, this is what you'll have to do. So we'll type FZF like this, and we'll hit enter, and that's going to bring up a list of files. So once we select a file, and we can select multiple files, and I'll show you that here in a minute, but for now, we're just going to select one. So we're going to select this main RS file, automatically opens in FZF, or in nvim, sorry. Going to get tongue-tied here. So let's go ahead and quit this. And then if you have the shell integration, what you can do is nvim, and then you can do 2 asterisks, and then hit tab. And that's going to give you a list of files here, very similar to what we saw before. Go down to the main RS if we want. We can select multiple files here. So we hit tab on this. So you can hit tab or hit tab again to remove that. But we can say choose both of these files. And we'll hit enter. And that's going to put both of them here in the terminal. And we hit enter. Now we have both of these files open in nvim. Super cool, right? All right. So moving on, the next pretty cool thing is if you want to change directories. I guess this isn't as useful because you can just use tab completion to move into the directory, but you can do CD space 2 asterisks again, just like we did with nvim, and then hit tab. And now we have a list of directories. Maybe I want to go into this target directory. Now I have it here in the command line. I can just hit enter and then move into it. So kind of useful, kind of cool, you know. And then another superpower that this can give you is previewing files. So this is one that you might want to add an alias for into your shell. So that way you don't have to type it out. Some of these as we go on are going to get longer, and you're definitely going to want to integrate them as like an alias or a function or something like that in your terminal, because you're not going to want to type these out every time. So we'll do FZF preview, because FZF has a preview feature built into it. And we can decide what goes into that preview feature, which is off to the right. You'll see here in a second. What we're going to put into it is the contents of the files as we go through the list. So if we hit enter here, we're going to have a list of our files again. And if you look over to the right, we have this other window. As I cycle up through these files, we can see the contents of these files. Isn't that pretty cool? You know, maybe you're just wanting to take a peek at something. You don't want to open it in a full-blown editor. You can just take a look at it like this. I think that's pretty useful and pretty cool. So go ahead and hit escape, and we'll get out of that. And again, you'd want to add an alias for that. I'll show you how to do that in case you're not familiar. So if we take nvim and we open up my xargs, this may be bash for you. And down here at the bottom, you can see I have one alias there already. But we'll type alias. I can spell alias. And then we're going to call it preview. And we'll do equals FZF -- preview. And then do cat. Just like that should work for us. So now we're going to write that out. Oops. Man, I'm really messing up here today. We do not want all that. I'm going to write this out and quit. Now, if I type ZSH to refresh everything, I should be able to type preview, and now I automatically get that, and it didn't work. So let me go ahead and fix that, because I'm pretty sure it has to do with these quotes. I need to escape these. by putting that slash there. Now we will write that and quit ZSH to reload it. And let's try that again. Now, there we go. Now we are seeing the contents of the files like we expected. So that's how you add an alias. If you want to do that for any of these commands, just keep in mind like what I ran into there. If you have quotes within the command that you're running, there's also some other, like if you have command substitution inside of it, you're going to have to do some things to escape that so that it doesn't get interpreted. But if you've done aliases, you already know that. If you haven't, you can definitely research that online. I'm not going to go through all those specifics here today. Just wanted to point that out to you that these are going to get long and you're probably going to want to use aliases. And all of these I'm going to put down in the description below. So don't be worrying about trying to pause the video and type out what I have. They're going to be down in the description, so you'll be able to grab those. So the next thing we're going to look at is actually being able to look through all of our environment variables. So I'm going to go back to this ZSH config file and I'm going to paste in a function here. So this function is going to use FZF with the output of all of my environment variables. Then it's going to spit them out in a list to me so I can cycle through them. So if you're commonly in looking at your environment variables, this will be very handy for you. So go ahead and refresh again. And then to run this, I'm going to say fenv because that's what we call the function. So now here I can see all of these different environment variables. Pretty cool, right? And you could probably expand on that more to even unset environment variables that you have configured by hitting enter on them. You can do all sorts of things. Like I said, the options are pretty much limitless. So we're going to go back to the profile here, and we're going to paste in another one. And this one is going to allow us to go through all of the services that are running on our system. And then it's also going to take advantage of that preview feature so we can see what's going on with those services. Are they currently running? What state are they in? Super handy so you're not having to query each service individually. So for this one, we need to run ZSH again to refresh that. And then we're going to go SVC, sorry. And then here you can see the services, and then over to the right, you can see their current status. Pretty cool, right? So go ahead and this one, put us out into this. We'll need to hit Q to quit, clear the screen there. And for the next one, I'm not going to create a function for this one. I'll just paste it here. This one is specific to me, but you could do something very similar regardless of the Linux distribution that you're on. But this one is going to show me all of the packages that are available that I could install in the apt cache. So when I run this, I'm going to need a list that I can search again. You know, I can type things in here. So I can type Firefox. You know, that's going to show everything that matches Firefox. And what I can do is I can hit enter. I'm not going to do it here, but if I hit enter, it's going to install whatever I chose here. So it makes installing packages from the command line. If you're not sure exactly what the package is called, you can search through here, find the package, hit enter, and install it all at once. So you're not having to go back and forth or anything, or having to use, God forbid, the GUI installer to do this. All right, so we'll go ahead and exit that. And I have one more to show you. And I find this one pretty handy too. And it's one that I'll definitely have an alias for. And this one is going to allow us to kill a running application by choosing it from a list. So paste this in here, and you can see we're using the PS command to get a list of all those processes and then feeding it into the preview. And the preview is going to show the name of the command because sometimes it can get kind of muddy, as you'll see when I run this. And I actually need to remove that. I think this will get us. Yeah, so as we scroll through this list, you can see it's kind of hard to see what's running. So over here, it's going to show you the name of the command. Again, we can limit things here to like Firefox, for instance, and I could kill Firefox that's running by hitting enter on it. Very cool, right? So again, that's all I have for you today in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you're already using FZF, like I said, leave some comments down below with how you use it or how you find it useful. And that's all I got for you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.